You've probably heard it before. Heavy weights for strength, light weights for size. But what if I told you that's not the full story? So, new research has shown that lightweight, high rep training is just as effective for muscle building and strength as heavy lifting. But you have to do it right. You might actually even be able to recover faster. Let's break it down. For years, the fitness world has followed this one simple rule. If you want to get stronger, you lift heavy with low reps. If you want to build muscle, you lift lighter with more reps. But two recent studies challenge this idea and show that both can be effective as long as you understand how motor unit recruitment works. Alright, so this first study looked at elite level weightlifters. These are the kind of people that have already maxed out their newbie gains. And the researchers had them separated into two groups. Group A did low reps, heavy weight, and then the second group did high reps, low weight. And they were tested at the end of 8 weeks. You know what they saw? They saw similar growth in both strength and muscle at the end of these 8 weeks. Now that's kind of surprising, right? These elite level weightlifters who have probably maxed out their newbie gains long ago were able to increase their 1 rep max training with high reps, low weights. No heavy lifting involved. So the thing with a lot of the past studies before is that when you test untrained lifters in their 1 rep max to test strength gains, a lot of these studies are going to say, oh, there was a huge increase in strength gains for heavy lifting and low reps. Of course there's going to be when they're untrained lifters. A lot of that is neural adaptations in which they learn how to lift more effectively without any actual muscle mass put on. But this study focuses specifically on elite level weightlifters who don't really have any more neural adaptations to put on. They've built it up over years and years of lifting. And a lot of the strength gains they're going to make come from actual muscle mass on their body. So the people who trained with the high reps and low loads had comparable muscle mass and strength gains. But not only that, they also had lower levels of inflammatory markers in their body, showing that they had less muscle damage than the people who were lifting with heavy weights, which means that they recovered a lot faster.
So what does this mean? Should you go out and change your training to high rep training now? Not yet. At least I don't think so. But these results are pretty promising for the future of high rep training. The only reason I say not yet is because the sample size was really small. But if more studies like this come out, then high rep training may have some benefits that you just don't get from low rep training and heavy weights, especially for people like geriatric people who are older and have nagging injuries and can't train the same way they used to with heavy weights. Our next study is a review of multiple studies done in 2021 by Brad Schoenfield. So this review takes a look at rep range recommendations and their adaptations to regarding strength, endurance, and hypertrophy. Essentially, they took a whole bunch of different studies. They looked at the outcomes, and from those outcomes, they determined that the current theory of 1 through 5 for strength, 6 to 12 for hypertrophy, and 15 plus for endurance is wrong. At the very least, it doesn't paint the full picture of what's going on. The review comes to the conclusion that strength is load dependent, but not as much as we think. Like, yes, heavy loads will train our strength effectively, but so will low loads, as long as they're taken to failure or close to failure. Because what matters is not the load itself, but rather how many motor units you can recruit. Heavy loads will automatically from the beginning recruit all of the possible motor units, whereas low loads take until the end where you're getting very close to failure to recruit all of the possible motor units. So what does this mean to the average lifter? It means that no matter which way you train, as long as you're going to failure or close to it, you're going to get strength and hypertrophy gains. Doesn't matter if you're doing low loads, high reps, low reps. Training to high reps with low loads may actually have some additional benefits that you just don't get from low rep work.
If you're worried about what's more optimal, this is to tell you you don't have to worry about it, because both of them are going to give you about the same level of strength and hypertrophy gains at the end of the day. And low loads may have additional benefits that you don't get as heavy loads, whereas heavy loads may have additional benefits that you don't get from low loads. And it just depends on what your goals are and what your circumstances are, because I see a lot of good benefits from low loads and high reps, but I don't train like that because I don't necessarily need to yet. And I love training with heavy weights. But let me know what you guys think about this study. Are you guys willing to change your training program after finding this out? Personally, I'm going to stay the same.